Live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9. The Fan.
30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. It's the George Plaster Show, featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famers Kelly Holcomb and young gun Willy Daunic. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. Trying to think how we would describe today. Not as yucky as yesterday, but certainly not giving us the feeling that we're in summer. Okay, as you can tell, we're not at the Fordyce Center in Bellevue if you're watching by way of podcast. However, we are in my rec room, and that's exciting. You can see the Braves were once world champs. Clearly, this year's team not achieving at that level. Oh,
getting shut out.
It's getting bad. I don't know.
Are you going to say what you told me earlier today on the air? Or?
No, I mean, I don't know what's going on, but I don't like the fact that the team looks dead as a doorknob. I just see no spark in this team whatsoever, and that is starting to concern me a tad bit, more than a tad bit, actually.
Okay, so maybe if it gets worse, you'll release what you told me.
Maybe.
Okay,
let's go to Murfreesboro. Say hello to Kelly Holcomb. Kelly, good of you to stop by earlier today. By the way, Hillwood is not Cambodia.
Like it though.
Do what?
I said it felt like it, though. I felt like I was in another country.
You know, you've got to broaden your horizons a little bit.
I don't have to broaden my horizons in Nashville. I really don't. I mean, there's so many people down there. And when I came to your house, it was backed up all the way to those train tracks. And I'm like, I cannot. It was. Now, I don't know if they had a wreck up there, but that's why I was getting kind of antsy because you kept wanting to keep us there. And I'm like, am I going to be able to be home before the show? But when I got it back out, everything had cleared out. So it was good.
Yeah. The traffic problem is more in your area even.
It's bad up here, too. I agree. But I know where I'm going up here. I don't know where I'm going in Nashville, especially where you lived. Cambodia.
Have you ever thought about driving around? I mean, you know, I don't live in Murfreesboro, and yet I know quite a bit about your city. I know how to get around.
Is that right? Is that why you called me a couple of weeks ago asking me which light to turn at and where it was? Is that correct? Okay. All right. Hey, next thing. Let's move on.
Moving on. Hello, William.
How's it going?
That's Billy, ladies and gentlemen. Billy, what's going on?
Oh, not much.
Have you prepared a positive quality update, or is it just a load of crap?
We've got a good update today, and it's all
George.
Hold on a second. I like the fact we've got a nice logo.
Yeah.
I mean, we have really stepped it up.
Yeah, it's all
That's
brought
not
to
a
you
good
by-
way. That's not a good way to lead off, though. When you say, "Is this a bunch of crap?" Because I mean, we've got a new sponsor for the opening. I mean, George, come on now.
Right. Let's upgrade.
The grand opening of the second X Golf location in the Mid-State is Friday, June the 6th at 209 South Royal Oaks in Franklin. We will broadcast our show there. Looking forward to seeing everybody out there.
Absolutely. It's BGA country.
Yeah, xgolffranklin.com is the website. If you want to give them a call, 615-250-2441. All right, we got a crazy story coming out of the NFL with Stephon Diggs. He was not present for today's voluntary OTA one day after a video of him surfaced on social media in which he was on a boat and flashed an unidentified pink substance while surrounded by three women. Patriots head coach Mike Vrabel, who addressed reporters before practice, was asked if the video is something the team needs to look into. He said, "It's something we're aware of, and obviously we want to make great decisions on and off the field. Any conversations that I've had with Stephon will remain between him and I and the club."
Well, thanks for that.
Wow. I haven't heard all this.
So it doesn't look good.
No, what is it with players in the offseason just kind of losing their mind a little bit?
That's what happens, Billy. We're men. We have testosterone. There's things that we do that just, you got to be smart about it. But nowadays, in today's world, if you do something, you're going to get caught on camera because everybody's got a phone and they're going to use that camera and they're going to video you.
Well, yeah, but you're supposed to know that ahead of time.
Correct. I mean, I understand that. That's kind of what I'm getting at. Like, understand that and kind of pipe it down.
Tone it down a little.
Well, Kelly won't be toning it down tomorrow on the golf course. I don't think. We'll see what he scores. But Charlie Woods cards a 6 under 66 to win his first career AJGA title. The 16-year-old son of Tiger Woods had quite the day in the Junior Golf Association's Team TaylorMade Invitational. He had a 71 player field that included 4 of the top 5 ranked junior players for his first AJGA title in 5 events. I'd say he's got a pretty bright future ahead of him.
That's pretty amazing. First of all, Kelly, I would assume there's got to be pressure in that he will always be Tiger Woods' son. He won't just be Charlie.
I know that's tough. You know, he thinks about that too. But I just watching him from when he was a kid playing with his dad and then where he is now, I mean, he can strike that ball now. And I'm sure he's a hard worker because I know that he's watched his dad and his dad's instilled that in him. So I don't know. I don't know Tiger. I don't know if Tiger, talking about Tiger, I'm not sure he's ever going to be able to come back. Like he's had some issues. And when you have an Achilles tear like that, it's tough.
In college,
how cool would it be if they ever ended up in a tournament and finished 1-2?
Oh man,
going up against each other.
Neat.
How cool would that be?
Well, it definitely wouldn't be a major. Tiger hasn't played well enough in any of the majors.
Oh,
but sure, there's got to be.
He can get in any major he wants, anytime he wants.
Yeah, but I'm saying he's finishing first or second.
That's a different story.
Tiger's barely been making the cut.
Yeah, I know it. It's just a dream. But you
wonder if Tiger has another push in him, though.
You just had to deflate it, didn't you?
I mean, Tiger has not been the same Tiger for 3-4 years.
Maybe
he
longer.
Been the same Tiger since his ex-wife hit him in the face or hit him with a golf club. You know, let's be honest.
Not wrong.
Okay, moving right along.
Big news for Bruce Pearl, the Auburn Tigers. Tahad Pettiford rejoins the Auburn basketball team. He's eyeing a higher draft slot. He didn't like where he was slotted in the draft. He was the number 35 prospect in ESPN's NBA draft rankings. Had a good showing at the combine. Had 23 points, 8 assists in one of the scrimmages, but didn't like where he was slotted. So he's coming back to Auburn, and Auburn all of a sudden looks like another powerhouse season coming for Bruce Pearl, and maybe even another Final Four appearance potentially.
Could be. You know what he's done down there, and I marvel because I broadcast games in the old place before the new place. And in the old place, I can remember, I don't know why I remember this, Dan Lange turned the corner and had an absolute monster dunk in front of about 12 people. There was nobody there. And to see the atmosphere at Auburn become what it's become, because back then, and this has been quite a while ago, it was deader than a doorknob.
Yeah, that's I can't believe. I mean, for them they didn't win it all last year, of course, but who would have thought Auburn basketball would get back to even close to where they were, and with Charles Barkley there. We do have some college football, maybe not news, but we heard about Texas's $40 million roster, how that was being reported by everybody. Steve Sarkisian called out that report. He said at spring meetings, in quote, it was a little bit of irresponsible reporting. I wish I had $40 million on our roster. We'd probably be a better team than we are. I wish I had another $15 million or so, though.
I think these SEC meetings are getting a little pissy. Just to be perfectly honest, I think what's going on is exactly what I thought was going to go on. And that is behind closed doors. You've got a group, commissioners, ADs, they're looking for money, and they want to go to 9 conference games. And the coaches are going, are you out of your friggin' mind? How about you play this schedule? And I think they're in a big old mental tug of war, Kelly. And in the end, Sankey's going to win out.
9 games in that conference is pretty tough. That's pretty tough. And like, what's that going to do to you at the end of the year when you're trying to get into this 12-team playoff? Like, you just got to make it first. And then with the tough schedule that you've played all year, are your kids going to be ready? Are they going to be fit for it? Are they going to be mentally prepared for it? Are they going to be, have they got their legs under them? I mean, there's a lot of things to go with that. And that's a lot of games. Because let's be honest, you have to have some cupcakes so you can get your feet under you. You don't have any preseason games like the NFL, so that's why you schedule the Gardner Webbs and all these other, the Samfords and all this, so you can get a game under your belt. But like 9 games, that's tough, George.
So here is the bottom line of where the whole rubber meets the road. The coaches are sitting there telling the commissioner, look, you want a 9th game, then you guarantee us 4 berths in the new 16-teamer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, don't get me wrong. I think Sankey wants that. And yet, if he and the Big Ten keep pushing like this, they're gonna catch some crap. Because this is not this is a deal where they should have to earn it. If you earn it, you're in. But just because you've got the just means more logo around you shouldn't guarantee the 4th team.
So you think he's going to get his way, and ultimately, George, you really do?
Yeah, I do.
Wow.
I do. And I don't think it's going to go over real well in the rest of the country, because I think the Big Ten and the SEC look like a couple of bullies. They really do.
Yeah. Do you blame them, though, using their leverage that they have?
Well, let me say this, Billy, and we'll get to this conversation later. What I don't like, and I've said this a lot, is that nobody is sticking up for the little guy.
Yeah.
Okay, they're being left for roadkill, and nobody seems to care.
Nobody's going to, though, George.
Right, but I think in the old days, there would have been 2 or 3 people in the college athletic world who would have said, wait a minute, before we go so far as to do X, we need to consider what the ramifications are. And I don't think anybody's doing that. I think Sankey's greedy. I think the Big Ten guy's greedy. There's just greed everywhere, and there's nobody out there trying to help the little guy at all.
It's a fair point.
But at some point, the little guy's got to figure it out. And maybe the little guy needs to have a little meeting, one weekend at one of these plush places, and they get together and say, okay, how do we retaliate? How do we fight back? And until they start doing that, nothing's going to change.
I don't know how you do fight back, though, George. You think about the middles of the world, the Western Kentuckys of the world. I don't know how you do fight back, because it's all, and we talk about it all the time, it's all about money.
Okay, but tell me this, though, Kelly. You just got through saying it. The SEC, when they went through the COVID year, they learned that playing each other 10 weeks in a row, not a real good idea, was it?
No, it sucked.
Well,
for them.
What if the little guy says, you know what? You're not going to use us as cannon fodder anymore.
There you go. They have leverage. That's right.
They've got a little bit. They don't have much, but they've got to get in a room and see if they do have some leverage. And to my way of thinking, they have not done that.
Agreed.
NBA last night, the Pacers beat the Knicks 130-121. They lead the series 3-1, and they just got to win one more game, setting up the Thunder and the Pacers in the NBA Finals. I don't think that would be a ratings bonanza for the league, but Could be exciting. Could be a good series.
No, but I think it'd be two really good teams if it happens. Now, tonight you've got Game 5, could be the decider in OKC, and tomorrow night they go to the Garden, and the Garden will be out of its gourd.
Well, and they'd probably be motivated after Pat McAfee told the three New Yorkers to basically get the heck out of Indiana.
Right. What they need before the game is for Marv Albert needs to grab the microphone and give us a big Patrick Ewing. That's what we need.
Last night in hockey, the Oilers beat the Stars 4-1. Oilers now lead that series 3-1.
Dallas dead.
That Oilers, I told you, really from the beginning, I've been saying they look like they're going to win it all.
It does look that way. Yeah.
Panthers are good, though, too. They lead the series over the Canes 3-1. They'll try to win it tonight at 7 in Raleigh. And the Braves and
are
Phillies
rained out.
Have been postponed because of rain and will be made up as part of a doubleheader tomorrow.
Oh, Lord.
So you get extra Braves baseball tomorrow.
Spawn insane and pray for rain. So, Kelly, we will have plays at the end of the show today on both the NHL and the NBA playoffs.
You're not going to have any plays on the Atlanta Braves?
Not if they're rained out, no.
That's true. But tomorrow, let's have some plays on it. Since is it a doubleheader tomorrow?
It's a day-night affair, I think. Yeah.
I think you should, and I think you should start booking it right now.
Thank you. Okay, after the break, the hardest working man in Nashville sports, Mike Organ from the Tennessean. He'll give us the lowdown on the race this weekend, as well as some other things. Then Terry McCormick will join us at 4 o'clock. We'll find out what's going on out at the Titans training complex, where apparently Will Levis and Cam Ward have met. And if that's the highlight of the day, it's a slow day.
True.
Anyway, Mike's in the On Deck Circle. Looking forward to talking to him. This is 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
At Wilson Bank and Trust, we believe you shouldn't have to choose between personal service and digital solutions. As your local independent bank, we're proud to offer the relationships and trusted service you expect, along with the tools and technology that keep you moving forward. So whether you're growing a business, buying a home, or planning for the future, we're here to help. Because this isn't just where we work, it's where we live too. Wilson Bank and Trust, here to get you there. Member FDIC.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com. Drivers, if you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
The Vandy Boys are ready to throw down in the postseason. Catch all the action as Tim Corbin and his crew chase another trip to Omaha and a third national championship. Vanderbilt baseball lives here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
A week ago on this very show, Mike Organ from the Tennessean shocked the world by wearing a Kelly Holcomb passing camp shirt, which had to be 20 years old, Kelly.
At least, yeah. I still don't know how Mike got a hold of that. I don't. My daughter has one and it's got holes all in it. It looks like she's been shot and she still wears it.
Well, Mike has friends in high places. Let's check in with him and see where he's going today.
Here we go again. Mike, you're killing me, dude. You're just flaming on me.
That is hilarious.
That's a lot different looking Kelly.
Mike, you want to explain that?
We don't have Mike's audio.
We don't have Mike's audio. Mike's got some issues there. So
the visual.
Let me ask you this: Is he any higher up the technology plane than I am?
You're the lowest of the people that are associated with this show,
right? But Mike's close. Mike just went away.
Mike is not far from you. I'll say that.
This is an American tragedy. But I fear he shall return here in just a matter of seconds, and we'll find out. Kelly, what is that? What was that he was showing us?
Is that a bowling pin?
What's this deal they got that they call the nesting dolls, and I am the face of it, and then it goes. I think Mike Caldwell's in it, and Dwan Hicks is in it, and then somebody. I think it's Wes Counts is in it. Some of the guys that played at middle for a long time. So I don't know.
Was this designed to spur people to come to your games or to stay away?
I would say it would probably be to stay away. We don't need any of that.
That's hilarious. So, Billy, we seem to be having technical issues. Time only has been called. The tarp is on the field. Every effort will be made to play tonight's game. The Atlanta Braves and the Phillies, thank you for your patience.
Yes. I feel bad for Mike right now because he's probably sweating.
You think he's sweating bullets?
He probably is.
Yeah. Is it possible we may just have to do this by a telephonic instrument?
Yeah.
Mike looked like he got him a pump in the gym, though. That's what sometimes I wish George would get a pump in the gym, but he's not, obviously. But Mike looked like he got him one before he came on.
Right.
Mike's a big dude.
Yes, he is. But he's not on.
No.
So,
and this is your fault, Billy. We blame it on you. It's a deduction in pay for you next week. Just understand that.
Pay is Friday, so you're a little late.
I wish sometimes people could just have the same knowledge as I do of social media, phones, digital media, that'd be really nice.
What exactly are you saying?
Yeah, what are you saying?
Well,
Did you learn all this at Ave Maria?
No, just a baseline understanding of, accepting tickets and joining a stream and
Yeah, I hate all that. I hate all that crap,
okay.
Billy.
Okay.
Save it.
So
it's really not as hard as y'all think it is.
So okay, while we're in this four corner stall, and
We got
again,
Mike.
time
We got
only.
Mike.
We do have
What it
Mike
says.
by way of telephonic instrument. Mike, explain what's been going on back at Mission Control.
Oh no.
He hung up.
yeah.
Oh my God. Mike.
He's done, dude.
Mike,
He's
please
done with this.
call us
He's done
back.
with his gym shoe operation.
So, Kelly, while we're attempting
I
to
can't blame him.
salad out of whatever,
This is one of those par threes where you don't get it to the green and you chunk it and then you hit it into the bunker and then you say,
we will eventually get Mike here in just a second before the end of the calendar year. Kelly, do you agree with me that there's a big tug of, well, okay, we've got him now. Let's say hello to Mike. Mike, describe what's been going on back at Mission Control.
I have no. Can you hear me?
Yeah. You're good.
Okay. If you want to tell, I think I'm backstage again. I don't know. But anyway, I worked all week on trying to get the mic fixed that Billy told me was off. And it shows backstage mic is working. The little volume thing is going up and down. But then when I come on with you guys, you can't hear me.
I'll have to come in and help you out there, Mike.
Yeah, I was so excited this week that it was going to finally work. I think I'm in the studio again. You guys.
Way to save the day, Billy.
With the video again.
It doesn't sound great on the phone, which is really not good.
Hey.
Mike, let's try this anyway. You are the coverage of the big race this weekend. Talk to me as though I know absolutely nothing about what's coming, which is close to true, and how big this is going to be.
Well, I think it's going to be the biggest of the five that we've had, because based on ticket sales, coming off of a really good week for motorsports. With the Indy 500, with record, the biggest viewership for Indy 500 in 17 years, and a great race and NASCAR race at Charlotte. So I think that really set this week up good for us here in Nashville. We go to a night race. Everybody loves night races. Ticket sales have been brisk. I think it will sell out again for the third straight year. And I think it's going to be a big race. It's finally solidifying itself. It's something people look forward to on the schedule, with it being the fifth year this year. And it's had good champions every year, good winners every year, known drivers, popular drivers. And now you've got Ross Chastain coming off a win last week. Very popular driver, the Watermelon Man, and he'll be coming in here off a win and won here 2 years ago. So you got a guy that's got a real good chance at repeating, I think.
So, Mike, amongst readers, how important is this event? Does it get a lot of traction?
Oh, gosh. NASCAR is amongst our top readership entities. It's huge. We get a lot of NASCAR traffic. We're considered the hub for Gannett for NASCAR, and we do really well. So that naturally that we do every week real well. And then when we come to when we have our own race, we just do that much better because we have so much more accessibility. You know, I went to the office today, and Ryan Blaney, the 2023 Cup champion, sitting in my office. So I got a nice little interview with him. He had stopped by with his PR guy. And then I'll be going up tonight up to the track in the simulator with Josh Berry and a couple of other Cup drivers. I think there's one other Cup driver, and then there's an Xfinity driver, I think. So I'm going to get to race against them in the sim, and it's 10 times the accessibility that we have normal. So yeah, we take it up another notch when we have for this race this week.
Mike, have you been in one of these cars when it's going at the kind of speeds they're going during a race?
I think the fastest I have been is 160. I was in one of Bubba's cars, about, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago for a ride along. And the guy that was, I don't even know who was driving, I just know it was one of Bubba Wallace's cars, told me we got up to 160 at one point on the back stretch. It's a D-shaped oval at Nashville. So your longest straightaway or stretch is the back from 2 to 3, turn 2 to turn 3. And that's when you really get the speed up there. So he told me we got up to 160 there. I took my own car up there a couple of years ago for a first-person story, a Camaro, and got it up to 117 myself. I just couldn't imagine going another mile per hour over that. That was tough. But these guys, they're going, they're pushing 200, going over 200 a little bit, 180 to 200. So no, I have not been at that point, nor have I been out there with 30 other cars on the track. So that's a whole different dynamic as well. Now I will say I'm going to get to do the ride along for the Grand Prix for the IndyCar in August. And I think we'll go about what I've been told, we'll go 180 to 200 in that.
Mike, do these guys fear this at all?
No, I don't think that can be part of it. I think you have to get out of it if there's any fear in it at all. And if you've had a wreck and you hadn't gotten over it, I think you got to kind of reconsider your lot and maybe think of something else to do. These guys don't fear it at all. And George, it's not like it used to be. The wrecks are, there's so much protection. There's a safer barrier wall now that absorbs so much of the hit. As a matter of fact, we're talking about Ryan Blaney. He was here 2 years ago and hit the safer barrier head on. I hit the wall head on, and thankfully the safer barrier absorbed most of it, of the impact, and he didn't suffer any consequences whatsoever. But he told me today that was the hardest hit he's ever had in his life. So it's you're obviously not 100% safe, but it's not nearly as dangerous as it used to be, in the days of Sterling and Waltrip and even before that.
Yeah. I guess there's two things in sports for me in the fear business, and that would be the racing, obviously, when you're at those kind of speeds and you have a crash. And the second would be when you get hit, people have gotten hit in the face by 96, 98 mile per hour fastballs. And I always wonder, okay, what happens the next time after they recuperate? Do they go into the box? Okay, whatever happens, or is there a little bit of being gun shy early? I've always wondered that.
I have too, and oddly enough, Woody Hunt, the legendary baseball coach from Cumberland, toward the end of his career, didn't get hit with on the mound, but got hit while coaching third base. I don't know if you recall that. They were down in Georgia. Yeah, and he took one to the face just straight on. And I called down there, and actually he answered. He was sitting in the emergency waiting room, and I didn't ask him at the time because I just couldn't do it. I couldn't say, "Are you going to be scared next time to go out, because I just couldn't do it in that environment with him sitting in the waiting room, emergency waiting room. But I do know that he retired not long after that. But I don't think it had anything to do with that. He was already nearing the end of his illustrious career at that point. But I am absolutely sure there's just no way, human nature-wise, you couldn't at least think about it the next time you get put in that same situation. But it's like that thing they say about getting back on the horse when you fall off, I guess.
Yeah, that's another one. That's a great example. Mike Organ from the Tennessean with us for his weekly Wednesday visit. Kelly, what do you got for him?
So, Mike, we talked about last time about expanding that racetrack if it keeps going, but I want to know NASCAR. Obviously, they keep coming back, and we hear so much about the fairgrounds and all that, and some people think it needs to be at the fairgrounds, and it's out in Gladeville, out off 840 now. Is NASCAR happy with the setup that they've got in Gladeville?
Oh, they're tickled to death. I got to spend some time with the NASCAR president, Steve O'Donnell, about a month ago. George knows about this because it was like a secret convention. They came in here with the National Business Journal, and I was one of the few media that got out there, and I got about 30 minutes with Steve O'Donnell, and I asked him about that, and he said, we are very happy with where we are in Nashville. We ought to be in Nashville no matter what, whether we're downtown or 35 miles out on in Lebanon, on 840, we need to be in the Nashville market. I asked him about going back to the fairgrounds, and he said, that's SMI is trying to do that. Speedway Motorsports, which owns Bristol, and they're trying to do that. And he said, we fully support that. We would love to get back to the fairgrounds, but we're just being in the Nashville market with this race right in the middle of the season. It's when the network changes. This will be the second coverage by Amazon Prime Video with Dale Jr. and Carl Edwards and Steve Letarte and that team. He likes it, and that's one of the reasons he moved it to June 1st, to get it right in the center of the schedule, the meat of the schedule, kind of kick off the summer. And they couldn't be happier than where they are. They'll get a good turnout. I don't know if it'll sell out. I think that it will. It does. The last two have sold out in advance. The last two sold out in advance. The one before that sold out during the race. So I think that's what will happen this year. I don't think it'll sell out in advance, but I think it'll sell out during the race. But to answer your question, NASCAR very happy. But if they could get down to fairgrounds, which they're still trying, then they'd be happy with that too. They wouldn't mind having two races in Nashville a year.
Mike, and I don't know if you'll know this, but I've got a point about this. But are they doing, because all these racing, the Indy 500, the Indy Series, and NASCAR, they're always trying to find speed. And what has NASCAR done in that realm about finding more speed? What have they done? What have they tinkered with the cars? And what have they done to make it more safe for guys?
Well, they backed off. NASCAR cars aren't as fast as they used to be, and that started with the restrictor plate. If you remember that,
right? Yeah.
What was that? The mid '90s. That's where they first started tinkering with that, and they did that for a couple of years, and then they came out with the Hans device. Was around that same time. Where they started requiring that to go over the shoulders, and some of the old guys, didn't buy into it, kind of like when in hockey, when they came out with the face mask, and some of those guys still like to skate around without anything on their face. They were grandfathered in and allowed to, and I don't think NASCAR did that, but they kind of looked the other way when some of the older guys would not wear the Hans device. But the speeds have gone down a little bit. I think they're happy where they are. That's the next gen car, which they're in now for the second year in a row. Kind of levels the playing field for everybody. Theoretically, all cars will go about the same speed, and it's all about on the driver to win a race. His skill and his knowledge of each track, and that's where they are today. But I don't think that either body, either IndyCar or NASCAR, is trying to increase speed. I think they're both happy where they are. I think IndyCar is around 235 to 250, which I just can't imagine. I don't know about you, Kelly, but I just couldn't imagine a land vehicle going any faster than that. And I think NASCAR is about where it's going to be, right around 200.
And on the same lines as that, I was watching the Indy 500, which I'm sure you saw it the other day, and I hate it because Stan Harrison gave myself and George. I don't think I'm not going to be able to go probably this weekend. I was hoping to because I enjoy racing. You are going. Well, I love racing, but I just don't think I'm going to be able to go. But they talked about some of the drivers that had a wreck or had problems with the cars. They were talking about the hybrid technology on these Indy cars. And they said it made it a little heavier, and they were kind of finicky. Like, do you know anything about what they did with those cars to make those put that hybrid system in them?
I don't know. I'm not as knowledgeable about IndyCar, and I'm not saying I'm knowledgeable about NASCAR, but I just do a lot more NASCAR. I'm not, but I do know. I wonder if that has anything to do with the Penske controversy, where they tried to lighten up the box in the back that absorbs impact. I don't know. I'm just coming off the top of my head wondering if that was something they were trying. Maybe that hybrid package you're talking about made things a little heavier, and they were trying to get that weight back or lose that weight, make up for that weight by taking it off that device, which ended up getting them in big trouble and moved Dugard and Herta all the way to the back and fined them both $100,000. So, but I don't know. But I do know that anytime there's any kind of little, just in the most minor shrinkling that's done, tinkering that's done, they all kind of freak out and try to figure out ways to get around it.
Yeah, and I know my last question here. I know you watched it, and I know we were all for Joseph Newgarden because there's nobody's ever won 3 of the Indianapolis 500s in a row. There's been guys who won 2, but he'd won 2. He was going for his 3rd. You talked about the controversy that they had. They moved him to 32nd. He had moved his way all the way up to 7th, and I was like, this guy's going to win this thing. He's got a chance to win it because I think he had one of the better cars, and then all of a sudden you just have to have so much luck in these races because you can have the best car, but something can malfunction. And that's kind of what happened to him, and it was kind of sad to watch. He didn't even have a chance to be there at the end to win that thing again.
Yeah, and he talks about that all the time, that it's more about you got to be more lucky than skilled to win something like that, to do it 3 years in a row. And he knew that was what was going to have to be the case. And he said he had been methodical. Everything had worked well up to that point. He had moved up like you planned to. He actually moved up to 6th at one point, and that's what he had planned to do, and it was going his way. So I think the fact that he had a setback at that point didn't surprise him, because up to that point everything had gone so well, so he knew something was coming. Now, I'm not saying he knew that it was going to be a fuel pressure issue that would take him out of the race, but I do think that he was braced for something at that time, because things go wrong so much, and it was really a shame, because just imagine the storybook telling that would have taken place if, he's going for his 3rd straight, he gets penalized and moved to the back of the race, and then overcomes that to become the first 3-time straight winner.
Mike, appreciate you taking the time as always. I got a couple for you. First, back to NASCAR. With the streaming service right on Amazon Prime, I had somebody ask me over the weekend, "Hey, what channel's the race on?" And I had to look it up. I said, "Well, I don't actually know." And I found out it was Amazon Prime, and the older generation may not like that, and the younger generation is probably fine with it. How have you seen that taken by NASCAR fans? Has that gone over well?
Well, I was talking to somebody in the office today. I can tell you this, speaking of looking for it, he was telling me that it was one of our most popular stories was how to stream the NASCAR race this week. It got a ton of traffic, and that's because there was so much question about who gets it, who doesn't get it. I wasn't even sure I was getting it until the race started, to be honest. I thought I was going to get it, and I did get it, but I wasn't sure until, I saw the start your engines command. But the broadcast was really, really good. I talked to Ryan Blaney about it today. He said, unfortunately, he got to watch it because he got taken out last week. If you remember, Daniel Suarez spun out into him, and it was his fifth. Did not finish this year, Blaney. So he ended up watching it from his house. It was in Charlotte, so he just got in his car and went home and watched the rest of the race from home. And he said that was the only good thing about the day, was that he got to watch the broadcast with Junior and Letard and the whole new, the kind of got back the NBC crew back together after not being on last year. And he said he was really happy with it. And that's all I've heard is positive comments. And I've been meaning to check the ratings, and I'm glad we brought this up because I'll check them now in the next little bit. And I want to see how it did, because I know the IndyCar, that the Indy 500 did so well. An average of 7.05 million viewers, peaked at 8.4 million, was up 40% from last year. And I'm sure the 600 did well too. People tuning in because they're already there, also tuning in to see if Larson, made the transition and where he was. So, but back to your question, I don't think the older viewers are going to go for it. Fortunately, it's only going to be 5 races. So maybe some will come around during that stretch, or maybe some will just tune out and get ready to go back to where it's back on free TV. But they better get ready for it, because it's going to it, and everything else, Billy, is going to it. You know that. Everything's going to go to streaming, and you're going to be paying for everything in some way outside of just your cable bill, like it was for, the last 3 decades. So they just might as well get used to it, because this is the way it's going to be. And I think the quality is going to be a little bit better, just like I think that's what we saw last week.
Yeah, I looked it up. Looks like Amazon Prime averaged 2.6 million viewers for the Coca-Cola 600 in Charlotte. It looks like that's down a little bit from 3.1 last year on Fox, but still, that's a good number.
Not really a lot,
right?
Yeah.
Well,
Mike,
last year there was so much attention on Larson because he was trying to do something that hadn't been done. At 17 when Kurt Busch did it. So it was really off the chain last year. So that's about what I would have thought. It was around 2.6, 2.8 was what I was thinking. It was going to be less than half of the Indy 500. People can't just sit and watch TV all day long. I guess some people can, but it's tough. And so, yeah, that's about what I thought. And that's a pretty good number.
Mike, appreciate it as always. Say that again, if you will.
I said, especially considered it was streaming, George, that's a pretty good number.
Hey, thank you as always. Great stuff. We'll do it again next week. Don't be shocked when you see me out there.
Okay, I'll look for you. Absolutely.
Don't faint.
Thanks, guys. Good to be with you.
Same here. Mike Organ, terrific stuff as always from the Tennessee, and the hardest working man in Nashville sports. We'll go to the break. More on 94.9 when we come back.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
If you are paying too much for your health insurance, you know what? You need to contact the folks at Pancoast Benefits. Pancoast works with businesses and individuals to tackle the high cost of health insurance. Whether you're a business owner, large or small, self-employed, between jobs, or over the age of 65 and in need of a Medicare plan, Pancoast can help. They make understanding your benefits less difficult and more personal. So check them out today, pancoastbenefits.com, or call them at 615-292-3400.
This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2025 season. Create a summer of memories at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, and more. Tickets are on sale now.
Want to define teams by singular performances.
Sports. Did he not go back into the game after that interception?
Let's get this turned around. And we're all saying, no, they don't.
Here.
You thought you were on your way.
Your sports live here.
On ESPN 94.9.
And the Game Nashville Sports Network.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
We're back, and some of you may have wondered, where did my question come from about the fear? Kelly, it was really, really early in my love of baseball. Sports Illustrated had a cover picture, and for a younger audience, you're going to have to look this up. Tony Conigliaro of the Boston Red Sox in August of 1968 was beamed in the eye, the face in the eye, from a fastball from Angels right-hander Jack Hamilton. And Sports Illustrated, their obviously their cover story, their headline on the cover is his eye and the struggles that he went through afterward, the fear. I mean, you know, he came within an inch at that point of dying, and just a terrible beating. Wasn't intentional. But you know, his career after that was a real struggle. And you know, for a guy that had all the promise that he had, that had to be part of it.
It weighs on you. It really does. When you have a massive injury like, Achilles tear, or you just wonder, because you're never really the same. Everybody says, well, he can come back better than ever. Well, you never really come back better than ever. You can come back almost as good, but like, I don't know. I remember I had 2 shoulder surgeries, and you're thinking to yourself, now that's nothing like getting beamed in the head by a baseball, but like you've always got that fear of like, am I going to be able to keep doing what I've always done? And when you get hit really hard, when you get a concussion, are you going to have a fear of getting hit like that again? Like, I can remember the last play I ever played in the National Football League. I got turned upside down, and I got hit right on the crown of my head, and it felt like a flame going all the way down to through my spine. And I know what that feels like. And I was like, oh my goodness. And I was praying on the sideline. I knew it deep down that was the last play I'd ever play. But I was just praying. I was like, please don't let that be the last play. But I knew subconsciously that was it, because it scared me for a second. I was able to move, but like, when something like that happens, I don't know how you come back from that, George. I really don't. When you get hit in the face like that, that's scary, man, because when you get a guy like Randy Johnson throwing the ball at you, or the Chapman guy, what's his first name? Aroldis Chapman. Like, when he's throwing the ball that fast and he hits you one time, you got to be a little gun shy when you step back into that batter's box.
Because, you know, I hear people say when I'm watching, but why didn't he let him get hit? Why didn't he let himself get hit? That's not a tennis ball.
No, when it's coming fast, and you got to make a quick decision very, very, very fast.
Same thing in hockey. You know, now I know they've got a lot more padding.
Yeah.
But the concept of stepping in front of one of those pucks, that doesn't feel all that great to me. It doesn't seem like that would feel great.
And when you go into one of those corners and you know that the guys are coming and they're trying to get that puck and they're going to knock the trash out of you. Yeah, you think sometimes you second guess yourself. That's for sure.
Did you ever think in your football days that there was a player out there who was afraid of getting hit?
Ooh. You're making me go back in my brain right now.
Yeah.
I can I don't know if I ever remember that, George. I know that was, you can always tell there are guys on your team that like, I don't know if anybody likes getting hit hard. I really don't. I know that there's guys on the defensive side of the ball that like laying licks, but I don't know if they want to get hit that hard. And sometimes you can tell when receivers, and they usually don't make it, when receivers go across the middle, if you're not willing to stick your hands up and go get that ball, then you're not. You might stay around for a little bit because you can run routes, but like you're not going to be there for a long time. You can't be afraid of that. There were always guys that you knew as a quarterback, hey, he's kind of got alligator arms. Don't throw it to him sometimes, you know. So it's tough. That I just, you know, I'm with the Urban Meyer deal where he always talked about. I don't know if you can get like. Running into each other is something that I don't know if it comes natural, but you've got to talk guys into doing stuff like that. And I think the same thing with getting hit like that. You don't think about it, but then when you get hit really hard, like you were talking about, it makes you second guess yourself. And it goes back to the Al Davis days when, you know, when guys were going across the middle and you had Jack Tatum out there trying to decapitate guys. They make you think about going across that middle again. That's for sure.
We have breaking news.
Kentucky's Otega Owe is coming back. He's withdrawn from the NBA draft process. He'll return to the Wildcats for his senior season. That's big news for Mark Pope to return his team's leading scorer from last season.
Yeah, if you open, wherever you may live, if you open the door to outside and you hear a roar, to the north, it's up in the Commonwealth, because they have felt for a while that they have reloaded under Mark Pope, and getting this guy to stay is the kind of the cherry on top of the cake.
Yeah, and don't
catch me out for sure.
Yeah, don't forget they got Mo Diabate coming in from Alabama, Jaden Quintain's from Arizona State. He did a lot of work in the portal. Too. So that's going to be another good Kentucky team.
Rupp Arena, and they'll be here on Friday, December the 5th, to take on Gonzaga at Bridgestone. After the break, we'll have Stat of the Day, which probably won't go real well. And then Terry McCormick will join us to discuss OTAs, or as I used to call it, glorified babysitting. 94.9 The Fan.
Looking for your favorite sports?
How about sports? You follow sports?
We probably have it. Just log on to the Information Superhighway. Oh, they don't call it that anymore?
To start, press any key. Where's the any key?
Head to thegamenashville.com.
The password we're in.
You'll find what time your game starts and what station it's on.
Oh, they have the internet on computers now.
That's what's up. Your sports live here.
What an age we live in.
On the Game Nashville Sports Network. Listen on the air.
So don't tell me to chill out.
On the web at theGameNashville.com.
This team has strategically put themselves back in the mix.
Watch us on YouTube or download the Game Nashville app.
You have to make those plays.
Your sports live here on the Game Nashville Sports Network.
It's the Electronic Express huge Memorial Day sale. Get up to 40% off 4K TVs, home theaters, and Bluetooth speakers. Up to 50% off appliances, housewares, and mattresses. And up to 30% off desktop computers, laptops, and smart home devices. Plus, save up to an additional $1,200 on eligible items. 24 months free financing? We've got that. Shop the Memorial Day sale in store or at electronicexpress.com.
Nashville. The semifinals of the PFL World Tournament begin Thursday, June 12th. Former welterweight world champion Jason Jackson takes on rising star the Silverback Thad Jean, plus 2023 PFL World Champ Jesus Pinedo and Gabriel Braga collide in a highly anticipated trilogy match. Don't miss your chance to see the action live June 12th at Municipal Auditorium in Nashville. Visit pflmma.com/schedule for more info.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. All around the world on the Game Nashville app. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9. The Fan.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
We're talking Titans with Terry McCormick coming up, but first, stat of the day brought to you by Apple Collision Centers. You can find them in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. Give them a call, 615-754-9800, or log on to their website at applecollisioncenters.com. You think Stan would be happy if his Crimson Tide get through the Hattiesburg Regional and come up here to Nashville?
He and I talked about that earlier today. I think he would be just this side of delirious.
I don't know that Vandy people would as much.
No, because they found Alabama to be really a tough deal. Look, for all of the winning that Vandy has done, and take nothing away from them, they had some endings to some games that were hard to believe. One of them was against Alabama.
Magical.
Crazy.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with stat of the day for today. Another NBA stat of the day question. The Pacers are one game away from the conference finals. Who was the leading scorer for the team the last time they made the NBA finals?
Well, I mean, the obvious
Reggie Miller.
Will be Reggie Miller.
Probably not.
Is it that obvious? Dale Davis was a part of that. And I'm not sure I can think of who else was part of that. You want to just go Reggie Miller and see?
Who was the leading scorer for the team the last time they made the finals? I mean, it has to be Reggie Miller, does it not?
It doesn't have to be, but I think it is.
No, it'd probably be like Mark Jackson or somebody. Good gracious.
Yeah, and if we don't get it right, we'll give ourselves the choke signal in honor of Reggie.
Jalen Rose. There you go. There you go.
Oh,
way to go.
2000. They beat the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals. Rose averaged 19 points per game in that series, but they lost to the Lakers in the finals that year.
We were
way to go, Billy.
He had 32 in a Game 5 finals win over the Lakers.
Did he really?
I didn't even know.
Wow.
Had Reggie retired by then?
He didn't play in the 2000s, did he?
He might have retired by then.
He might have.
Anyway, we are officially into the 4 o'clock hour. Our digs today.
Yes, Reggie retired in 05. So
okay, so he did play.
Yeah.
So our digs today, not the Fordyce Center in Bellevue, but the hut, the rec room, my rec room.
Hey, I like this room. Don't hate on the rec room.
Oh, I'm not hating on it at all. I put it together.
Billy, did you go wash your car?
No, shut up, Kelly.
I mean, good gracious, dude. There's only so many times a bird can mess on your car before you do something about it.
God forbid there's a tree in our backyard and I can't escape it.
Before the bird says, I got to go somewhere else, there's no room for a new deposit.
There's no room for anything else. Jeez.
Okay, let's say hello to Terry McCormick, TitanInsider.com, Main Street Media, a lot of titles. Terry, how are you?
I'm doing well, George. How are you?
Good. You're back from vacation, aren't you?
I am. Got back on Saturday night from a trip to Scotland and rather enjoyed it.
Well, wow. Money must be pretty good.
We have my wife has family over there, so we stayed with them.
Mooched.
Yes. Yeah,
I like that.
I did get to see the course at St. Andrews.
What was that like?
That's what I was going to ask you if you played golf.
I did not get to play because apparently I'm the only one in our group that plays, since my son didn't get to make the trip. But I did get to see the course, and it was amazing.
Wow.
My dad played it one time.
Nice.
Loved it.
Don't think you have.
No. I have played Harpeth Hills. So, Terry, tell us what's been going on at OTAs, and let's just ask right off the bat the first question: how has Cam Ward looked?
He looks pretty good. I mean, he has a very quick release. He's got, even though the ball kind of comes out a little bit lower than most quarterbacks, hold it, up around the ear hole. He's more of a shoulder thrower, but he has some good velocity. The very first pass he threw today in 7-on-7s, he zipped it between two defenders to rookie tight end Gunnar Helm. Now, and everybody was impressed with the throw. Now, that's not to say he didn't make mistakes. There was a play where, he was under duress and he threw a ball that should have been intercepted. And, it had flashbacks from last year in terms of watching the Titans. But, those mistakes are going to happen as he's a rookie, kind of feeling his way around and learning what life is like in the NFL. And he said that one of the biggest adjustments is the wider hash marks and the fact that the bulk of the throws go inside those hash marks as opposed to outside those hash marks.
Okay, Kelly, come in on that, because that's a really interesting point. In the pros, the hash marks are closer to each other. In college,
Correct.
They're way wide toward the sideline. Why is that a big adjustment?
It's just one of those deals. I'm not sure, but you have to get used to it. I got used to those, and then when I coached high school football, the high school football hashes are unbelievably ridiculous. I can't stand them. You get stuck on a hash sometimes and you can't get off, but that's why all these guys want to see the comeback throws when they go to the combine. They want to see if a guy can throw it from the middle of the field and throw that ball 20-something yards out there and throw it on the line. You get to play in the middle of the field, and that's what I love about it. That's why I like the hashes from the NFL. But it does take some adjustment getting used to. But there's some difference. It's not that much difference. But if you're talking about a high school hash mark and a pro hash mark, there's a lot of difference. So that's why they like arm strength from the middle of the field. And when you're in high school and you're on the left hash, there's not a high school kid that can throw it across the field. It's just can't do it. I mean, they're just not that mature yet. So it's interesting to see, just how he does with that, and he'll adjust just like everybody else does.
So, Terry, I'm sure there are people that would love to be able to hear you say, I've seen enough, he'll be plenty good enough. But we're not anywhere near that point, are we?
No, you got to see what takes place in training camp. You got to see what takes place in preseason. Now, do I think he's got the inside track clearly to be the starter? Yeah, obviously. You don't take the guy with the number one pick if you don't intend for him to be your guy from the jump. That said, Will Levis looked a lot better today. He looked, pretty good for the most part. He had one unfortunate throw at the end of the day that was intercepted. But other than that, I thought he showed really good accuracy with the ball. We talked to him as well as Cam as they were coming off the field. And, he's handling it as best he can, shall we say. He's kind of, being professional about it. And even though he knows he's got a minuscule chance to be this team's starter, I think, barring an injury to Cam Ward, I think he's trying to, handle this in stride and be the best pro he can be, so that if an opportunity comes up here or somewhere else, he's ready for it.
Terry, what all did he do in the offseason?
Well, he went and spent 7 weeks out with Jordan Palmer out in California. And he worked on, his footwork, worked on just kind of reconfiguring his mechanics a little bit more. And I'm sure they worked on the processing, because his processing did look better today. Granted, it's not, with a real defense out there going against it with pads on and everything. But there was one play in particular where he hit the third read in the progression. And, he was off the first read, saw that it was covered, looked at the second read. It wasn't there, and let it go for the third read, and that looked pretty good. So I think he has improved. But it would still be a major upset if he unseats Cam Ward and wins this job.
Yeah, and of course the things that are not controllable are injuries. They're both going to play a lot, I would assume, in spring training. What am I saying? In preseason, and so it's going to be interesting to compare.
It is, and I think that what the Titans are doing here is this. I mean, last year they handed the keys to Levis, and it didn't work out. They really didn't. Even Amy Adams-Strunk coming out when they fired Mike Vrabel and hired Brian Callahan, she basically said, we've got, a young quarterback that we want to develop, blah, 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 and it was talking about Levis, and they basically handed him the keys to the offense. And obviously with the way things turned out, they probably should have made him, go through the rigors of earning the job in camp. And that's what they're doing now with Cam Ward. They're not just going to hand him the keys carte blanche. He's going to have to show enough to show that he's earned the job, which also should play better in the locker room, because the team won't be, well, this guy's just been handed the job because he's the number 1 overall pick. There will be some semblance of guys saying, well, he's earned this through camp and preseason. It's time to roll with it.
Okay, here's something I cannot prove, but I believe. I believe that at the end of the season, Brian Callahan said to the powers that be, and you might need a roster at that point to figure out who the powers that be were, I can't go through another year of Will Levis. Again, I can't prove that, but I believe that. Do you believe that?
Well, I think in a roundabout way, I think, he basically told Levis at the end of the season that there would be some sort of competition. I think what a lot of people thought that would mean would be a veteran quarterback would come in and Levis would learn under that guy's wing, and that guy might be the starter. Well, once that didn't happen, and then once they became kind of fascinated with Cam Ward, they shifted gears. And when they went all in with Cam Ward as the number 1 pick, I think what that did was, that kind of assured that Levis's opportunities here are probably going to be very few and far between, barring an injury, I would think.
Kelly, what do you got for Terry?
Well, I'm sitting here thinking about how I'm going to ask this question, and I'm not sure I can get it out right. It probably won't sound right, but I've been in this situation before, Terry, and there was a guy, and I had 2 number 1 picks. I was with Peyton, which, Peyton came out, and he played okay his first year as a rookie, but then, he set the world on fire, and now he's in the Hall of Fame. And then I played with Tim Couch, and I can just remember being around the facility, and he was the number 1 pick, and everybody made sure you knew that. He's the guy. He's the number 1 pick, and that's kind of what's going on with the Cam Ward situation. But my whole deal is, how is the locker room with Will Levis? Like, how did that end last year? And I'm sure I've asked you this question before, but how did that end last year? Because players always know, and we've said it on this show before, players know if you can play or not. And I just, like, if they mess around with this too much, and Brian Callahan says, well, it is going to be a competition, which I agree with. I think it will be somewhat of a competition. I don't know how much it will be because he's the number 1 pick. But, like, how much can they play around with this before they say, hey, we've already played with this guy. We've seen what he can do. Yeah, he might get better, but that's not a game. This is practice. We got to see what he can do in the game. And you've drafted a number 1 guy. How does the locker room feel about that situation?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really talked to a lot of guys, but the interaction today on the field, guys still seem to, embrace Levis and still seem to like him, but you can see Cam Ward, and the relationships that he's developing and he's making on the practice field, it certainly, looks like he's putting his best foot forward in terms of getting to know his teammates and, getting ready. And like you said, guys know when a guy's the number one overall pick, they know that, everything is being set up to be built around him. And if he doesn't seize the moment, if he's healthy, it's one thing if he's injured and and Levis is the starter because of that. But if he somehow isn't ready or doesn't seize the moment, that's where I see that would be a problem. I mean, they already kind of know what Levis is. They, obviously, I'm sure there are guys in there who feel like, that he kind of got a bum deal last year because the team was so bad. But I'm sure there are other guys that feel like, well, he also contributed to, his share of the problems too with some of the plays that he made or didn't make. So to me, I think the locker room will fall in behind whoever they deem the starter. And most likely that's going to be Cam Ward. But to me, the only real problem there would be if they set Cam Ward up for success and he doesn't take it and run with it.
True. So with all the new guys coming into camp and all the veterans that are there, was there anybody that stood out? We talk so much about Cam Ward, and it's obvious because he was the number one pick, but had any of the other guys that they drafted, did anybody stand out to you or impress you?
A couple of the rookies I thought I liked. It looks like he's kind of got that Ward has kind of gotten on the same page with Alec Iomanner pretty quickly. He made a couple of nice plays for him in the 7-on-7 and team drills. I thought Gunnar Helm, showed up and looked pretty good. Defensively, I think they're excited about this guy Oladejo and the potential that he has. I don't know that him being new to the outside linebacker position, that he's going to be an immediate impact guy in terms of bringing down the quarterback. But I think they feel like he's a guy that's going to get there because that given a little bit of time and a little bit of adjustment to the NFL game, I think they really like his motor and his energy and his aggressiveness.
So my last thing here is Amy Adams Strunk. Do you think that, we've talked about Andrew Burnett on the Predators deal, and we've all talked about him being on the hot seat. And I know I've probably asked you this question before, but I got to get a clarity for this. Do you think Brian Callahan is on the hot seat, or has he got a stay of execution because he's got a rookie quarterback? And let's be honest, sometimes coaches, they use that as an excuse. Hey, we've got a rookie guy. He's our guy. We're going to need a little bit of time because he's going to get way more opportunities than Will Levis probably had. But Will Levis had every opportunity to win the job, and I don't think he had the right things around him. But there's things that he could have done a little bit better to give them some confidence about those guys or to those guys. But with this Cam Ward situation, do you think Brian Callahan is going to be on the hot seat, or has he got a little stay of execution if it doesn't? Because I don't know, if you look at their schedule, I don't know how many winnable games is on that. And we all know that the NFL is a tough league. So, will Amy Adams Strunk give him time if they're not very successful this year for another year, you think?
And here's the thing. For Cam Ward's sake, she had better do that. Because the last thing you want to do is bring in Cam Ward and then immediately fire the head coach, and you're in a situation like the Chicago Bears where you've got a second-year quarterback, a first-year head coach, and as much as they might like Caleb Williams, Ben Johnson didn't draft him. So if things don't work out, who's going to be the scapegoat? It's not going to be Ben Johnson. The scapegoat's going to be Caleb Williams. So to me, this whole situation, in part, Levis was a little bit of a scapegoat because he's the second-year guy. Callahan was the first-year guy. Things went south. It's easy to pin the blame on Levis. Callahan now is on the hot seat, in my opinion. But if the Titans want Cam Ward to succeed, then they need to give Brian Callahan enough leeway to allow him to develop him and not have to go back and start from square one, because that's exactly how they ruined Marcus Mariota.
That's a really good answer, Terry. That's I didn't think about that, but you're absolutely right because there's a lot of times that guys come into this league and they shuffle coaches around, and then a guy can never get settled because he's learning so much stuff. So that's a great point, man. That was well answered.
Is the patience there, though? That's the question.
With her, who knows?
For sure.
Who knows?
Sure. Amy Adams Strunk, here recently she's been going 1980s George Steinbrenner on her coaches and GMs, and that you can't have stability and can't have a top flight organization when you constantly have turnover in the front office and on the sidelines.
Yep. Terry, thank you as always. Good stuff.
All right. You guys have a good one.
Terry McCormick, Main Street Media, TitanInsider.com, joining us to talk about OTAs going on out at the practice facility. After the break, a few 100,000 words about what's going on down in Florida with the SEC meetings. This is 94.9, The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
I trained my entire life to be the best. I was one of the fastest women in the entire country. But woke politics made me swim against a man, sharing the pool and the locker room. That's not just dangerous, it's degrading. Thank God for Marsha Blackburn. No one fights harder to protect us. Marsha Blackburn will always stand for strong women, because she's one of us.
I'm Marsha Blackburn, and I approve this message.
This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2025 season. Create a summer of memories at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, and more. Tickets are on sale now.
At Wilson Bank and Trust, we believe you shouldn't have to choose between personal service and digital solutions. As your local independent bank, we're proud to offer the relationships and trusted service you expect, along with the tools and technology that keep you moving forward. So whether you're growing a business, buying a home, or planning for the future, we're here to help. Because this isn't just where we work, it's where we live too. Wilson Bank and Trust, here to get you there. Member FDIC.
Express.com.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donley Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donley have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonleyTimmons.com.
The Vandy boys are ready to throw down in the postseason. Catch all the action as Tim Corbin and his crew chase another trip to Omaha and a third national championship. Vanderbilt baseball lives here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
So most years when the SEC spring meetings happen, it's basically an excuse to have a few free cocktails, charge your university with some of those bills. You get handed a big old check down there for the year's worth of all the stuff the SEC does that they divide among all the schools. And genuinely, this has just been kind of a big old cocktail party. I don't think it's that way this year, Kelly. I think they've got major issues, and I think the battle lines, like I said during the update, have been drawn. The coaches know full well that the ADs, led by the commissioner, want a ninth game because ESPN's been telling them, if you'll go to 9 conference games, we'll give you more money. The other thing that's coming up a lot is this whole, how are we going to handle the playoff if it goes to 16? And is the SEC title game going to be as it was a year ago, Georgia versus Texas, the 2 division winners, or are they already going to be pretty well considered to be there? And we're doing things like 3 versus 6 and 4 versus 5, which to me is a little over the top.
Well, those conference championship games, the SEC was the first conference to have a conference championship game. And I think now that you've got these playoffs that are coming, I think that's kind of detrimental to what's going on. I don't know if anybody wants to be in the championship games because there's so much riding on it. And if they go to 16 teams, I don't know how they'll do that, George, but now they've got power, they've got 4 power conferences. So I could see them taking 4 out of each conference. I mean, maybe that doesn't happen. I don't know, but there's a lot going on. There's a lot to be said in the next couple of months, the next couple of years, about all this conference realignment stuff, about all this stuff that's happening. And we always talk about it, George. It's all about money. And the more that they can make, it doesn't matter if it's better for the game, it's better for the SEC. They can make more money, and that's kind of where everything is.
Well, this 5+11 college football playoff model is what really has come out of this week, and there's a lot of coaches that like it. And you look at some of Sankey's quotes. He said they talked about, I'll call it a 5+11 model, and our own ability to earn those berths. At the coaching level, the question is, why wouldn't that be fine? Why wouldn't we do that? We talked about 16 with them, 16 teams in the playoffs. So good conversation, not a destination, but the first time I've had the ability to go really in depth with ideas with them. And the 5+11 model, this article, I thought I was going to explain it. Maybe not. My bad.
So it's going to be the 5+11. So that means the 4 conference championships champions, and then the 5th one is the group of 5. Is that what it is?
That's what it sounds like, Kelly. I'm trying to. I want to make.
You're going to have 11. You're going to have the other 11 best teams.
Yeah, but what the SEC and the Big Ten apparently have gotten in cahoots over, that they've been having these big love fests between Petiti and Sankey.
Okay. So here it is. During a call earlier today, Big Ten ADs discussed the 5 automatic qualifiers plus 11 at-large college football playoff model under consideration in the SEC. So 5 automatic qualifiers, 11 at-large.
But what also is going on behind the scenes, first of all, under the category of why wouldn't anybody want this, I'll admit, I've had to change my tune a little bit because by about the third round, I was like you, Kelly. You used the word fatigue. That okay, this has gone on long enough. Let's crown a champion. And going from 12 to 16, you're taking it another week. Either you're starting it a week earlier around the Army-Navy game, which has been a standalone weekend in college football, or you're extending it out where, you're damn near going to get to February before it's over. The first problem I think they've got to say to themselves in a room is the general public, is there an appetite for more? And while I think there was going into last year, by the time we got through it, I don't think there was.
I'm with you, and I'm a traditionalist, and I just think like college football is kind of supposed to be over the 1st of January, like around New Year and all that. That's just what I've grown up. That's what you've grown up with, George. Even Billy. I mean, even the short lifetime that Billy's been here, but that's kind of what we're used to. And then the rest of that is for the NFL. Then the college is over, and then the NFL. Let's go with the NFL, and let's get the playoffs underway, and let's see who's going to the Super Bowl. It was just too much for me, and I don't know how you fix that, George. They got to start earlier. I'm with you. Are they going to start early? I think the decision that they made earlier this year, I forget what was the rule that they had. Well, it was the conference champions. It doesn't matter. I mean, it was the top 12, and they're just going to rank them that way, which I thought was a good idea. But they're going to have some more ideas because I didn't like it. I was ready for it to be over with because I thought that was the NFL's time. Of course, I played in the NFL, so I'm kind of I played both of them, but I was, I'm just an NFL guy when, football's over, and in January and February, that's the NFL's time. And then it just seemed like it just kept going for me. And I think there was a lot of people that felt the same way I did.
The other issue is the portal and when it opens and closes. And Kirby Smart had a really good comment about this. He said it's really hard to be playing in a championship setting and have to be dealing with that. When I brought that up as a complaint or a problem, it was told to me there's no crying from a yacht.
Right, and I'd have told whoever said that to take that yacht and shove it, because whoever told him that wasn't having to do the balancing act.
Right,
it's true.
That's a stupid comment. There's
You're
no
trying to win a national championship, and now the portal's open, and you're still practicing football. I don't understand how that works. It's tough.
Is the real problem in the playoff, if we're being honest, the fact that in the first week there was a level of excitement and anticipation when Notre Dame and Indiana were going to play in South Bend on that Friday night. It turned out to be a dud. The first two games on Saturday were kind of duds. Certainly the SMU Penn State game was a dud. The Clemson game got interesting late. The Tennessee game was pretty one-sided. Week one felt like a little bit of buzzkill.
Yeah, I'm with you, George. I just the matchups, the way they had it, I think they've got it better now. But the matchups were just, and that's what you're going to have because we've talked about it, and even coaches. I've talked to coaches. They've said, "Hey, we talk about 30 teams, but if you think about 30 teams, these coaches have told me there's really only 7 or 8 teams that have the opportunity. And if you look what Ohio State did, they had the biggest budget and they got the most players." And they got all those players. So they won the national championship. Like, it's bad to say, but it comes down to money again. Like, SMU cannot compete on a monetary status like Ohio State or an Alabama or a UT even. It's just tough. And I don't know how you balance that out. I don't know if you can, which.
Although SMU can. They're the ones that bought their way into the ACC.
A long time ago. Yeah, a long time ago, they bought players as well. So they got the death penalty, you know what I'm saying? So, no, you're right. I don't know. I don't know what the balance is.
My thing is in the 4-team playoff, the first round games were blowouts. We expanded 12. The first round games were blowouts again. I think it's a college football issue. I mean, you could expand to 16. you still probably have blowouts. I mean, it was rare in a 14 playoff format you didn't have a blowout. So is that a college football issue where you've got 2 or 3 teams every year that are way better than everybody else?
It might be. I don't, do I suspect that? Yeah. Could the playoff have gotten a little luckier with some of their early matchups? Yeah, they could have. Now, I'm trying to think to New Year's Day. New Year's Eve was Boise State and Penn State, and that was pretty one-sided. To everybody's surprise, Ohio State ripped to shreds an Oregon team that some people thought might win it all. Then we had the delay because of what went on in New Orleans. So it was a day later that Notre Dame and Georgia played. And I would say from an entertainment value, this playoff lacked a little bit. Would y'all buy that?
It lacked a lot, I thought. But like, how do you do that? Like, if you're gonna, like the 16th team, if they're going to 16, and the one team, there's like, it's not like the NFL. Like, there's parity in the NFL. Yeah, there's a huge difference. So I don't know how you do it. Like it made me a couple of games. I turned it on, and then you watch like the first 5 minutes, like the SMU Penn State game. You watch the first 5 minutes, and you know they can't hang with them. I know they got a really good quarterback at SMU, and he can make things happen, but like they're overmatched, and you knew that. So I just immediately cut the TV off. I didn't want to watch it.
Here are the things that I think you can take to the bank, because as Kelly said earlier, it always comes down to money. I think you can take to the bank that shortly we're going to a 16-team playoff. Does the SEC and the Big Ten, do they have the intestinal fortitude to continue this silly argument that they deserve 4? They deserve 4 if the 4 teams deserve to be there.
They are deserving.
Okay. That's the first thing. We're going to go to 16. And I think we're going to go to 9. And I think 9 conference games in the SEC. And some coach is going to really tee off on Sankey when his team, 4 weeks in a row has played a Godzilla. And some coach is going to say, you know what? Our commissioner needs to coach this. See how it feels.
Let me ask y'all this. We talk about the small guys. I played at a small school, middle. Is there a market for smaller schools? Like in those communities, like, we're having a tough time right now because we're in the middle of SEC country. I get it. But like, if you go to North Dakota and you go to South Dakota, which I was able to go to last year, those people up there, those communities love that. But is there a market for smaller schools with this wave of the bigness of all these schools? Is there a market for small schools, and how do you do that? Like, I know that middle was playing on Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Thursdays on CBS Network, CBS Sports Network, and you get some ESPN games in the middle of the week. But is there a market for smaller teams with all what's going on in these big power conferences?
Kelly, I think that's why the little guy needs to start getting proactive. They need to find out, is there a market?
Yeah.
Because I don't think they know.
I think there is a market for the little guy in certain sports. Coastal Carolina, for example, in college baseball, they're a top 16 seed in this year's tournament. They've won a national title at the baseball at that level,
won it in
like
2016.
Yeah. So, and you've seen other sports that, at certain schools where they may be pretty bad in 2 other sports, but they're at an elite level at one sport. I think Coastal Carolina baseball is a good example. You're looking at Liberty football, right? But Liberty's a better example. They're investing. They've got money. High Point. Keep an eye on High Point. They've got all these big money alums that have invested, and they're paying for players because that's what it takes in today's era. It takes money. And if you're a school that can be smart enough to toggle together enough alums to bring money into the school, you can do it. Now,
yeah, but I'm going to argue the other way. When Liberty got in, they got smoked.
That's true. But
who was it just took them behind the woodshed.
That's their goal, getting in. I mean,
sure, but it's not real good for TV ratings.
No.
So are you better off with a secondary tournament that's got the Boise States and the Liberties and the whoever? And I know none of those schools would appreciate this, but
well, that's what Watson's talked about a lot.
Yeah, but I don't think they know whether there's a market, Kelly, which is why I say they need to get proactive. They need to all get together and spend a weekend, come up with a plan, and then find out some of exactly what you just put out there. Is there a market?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I'm thinking to myself, like Billy's talking about, like Liberty's got a lot of money too. Like let's be honest. I think Liberty, like if they could get a little bit more marketing, they're there because they got the money. They've got plenty of money. I've been on that campus. They just built a new arena for basketball. They've got a beautiful indoor facility. They got a beautiful stadium. They've got funds. But like Billy, Coastal Carolina's got a pretty good football program. The guy that left Coastal Carolina went to Liberty.
Yeah.
So like what do you do though if you've got one team, like you talking about the baseball team, do you market that baseball team, and what do you do with the other sports? Like, do you let them go, or do you not fund them, or like what do you do?
Yeah, I just think I think you've seen it really work if you take advantage of a sport that you have a niche in and can be good in, then that that can really hold you up. I'm not saying give up on football or give up on basketball, but put your resources into one sport and see what that can do for you. Maybe you
but
make
those
a
other
run.
sports are losing. Those other sports are going to be losing money. So, like, if you're looking at it as a business prospect and a business proposition, then if baseball is what gets it to you, put all your money into baseball and say, hey, that's what we're doing.
Yeah, that's great for morale in the athletic department.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I just don't know how. I don't know what the answers are.
But that might be what all they've got left.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to go to the break, and then we'll have one short deal where we'll open the phones for some of you. If you want to jump in, 615-553-0933. Again, 615-553-0933. Red-blooded Americans who want to talk sports. Billy, how else?
Chat room open on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. Feel free to chime in however you'd like. It's pretty easy. If you're on a laptop, it's to the right of the screen. Type in there on your phone, swipe up. We'll see it, and we'll get them over.
This is 94.9, The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
I trained my entire life to be the best. I was one of the fastest women in the entire country. But woke politics made me swim against a man, sharing the pool and the locker room. That's not just dangerous, it's degrading. Thank God for Marsha Blackburn. No one fights harder to protect us. Marsha Blackburn will always stand for strong women, because she's one of us.
I'm Marsha Blackburn, and I approve this message.
This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2025 season. Create a summer of memories at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, and more. Tickets are on sale now.
At Wilson Bank and Trust, we believe you shouldn't have to choose between personal service and digital solutions. As your local independent bank, we're proud to offer the relationships and trusted service you expect, along with the tools and technology that keep you moving forward. So whether you're growing a business, buying a home, or planning for the future, we're here to help. Because this isn't just where we work, it's where we live too. Wilson Bank and Trust, here to get you there. Member FDIC. With the tools and technology that keep you moving forward. So whether you're growing a business, buying a home, or planning for the future, we're here to help. Because this isn't just where we work, it's where we live too. Wilson Bank and Trust, here to get you there. Member FDIC.
Two total screw-ups of humongous proportions.
Sports. We're not living in an era where perfection is necessary.
They thought they were a championship contending team.
Here, we told you not to do this. Your sports live here.
ESPN 94.9.
And the Game Nashville Sports Network.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Okay, we are back, Billy. It looks like got a couple of good ones by way of the chat room, so let's go with those.
George on YouTube asks, what do you guys think of the Vanderbilt Chancellor's new Nashville-based initiatives? There's an LLC set up to try and turn tourists in Nashville into Vandy fans and a program for recent grads to stay in Nashville. I like it. I mean, it's about time.
To me, the first one is much ado about nothing.
Yeah, I mean, turning tourists into Vandy fans.
I mean, look, do you get an occasional person from out of town who says, I want to see a college football game? Sure. You'll get that occasionally. Is that how you're going to support your program? No way.
No. I agree with that totally.
Well, because a lot of, I mean, if they're coming from California, they're sports fans, you would think they're UCLA, maybe, or maybe they've ditched those teams. I know being in Nashville, there's a lot of Midwest, like Midwest people that come down that maybe don't have a bunch of bars and hockey tonks to go to up in the Midwest. But I don't know. The tourists, I'm with you, sounds harder than, making sure that grads stay in town. Like that seems feasible.
Well, the whole recent grads to stay in Nashville thing is, I don't know, a little bit phony, because Kelly, over the years, this is a university who has rejected a ton of kids from this area because they're from this area. I've never understood that. If they're from Guam and Haiti, let them all in. But God forbid we let anybody in from Dixon.
Well, that's what happened up here in the football realm a couple of years ago. They thought it was too close for recruiting kids up here, and I just don't understand that. I think that's how you get some noise about your program. You get people involved in your program. Yeah, I think those are good ideas. I'm like y'all. I don't know about the tourists, but I think if you're trying to get people interested in something, you have to think outside the box, and that kind of is thinking outside the box. You have to like we did today with Malik. Man, he was throwing stuff at us, and he's really smart. But I think you have to think in lines like that because the world is changing and social media is here, and I think you got to think outside the box.
So Deermeyer, and I don't know him. I've met him a couple of times for less than 60 seconds. I'll say this for him. He has put his money, or the school's money, where his mouth was. Zeppo's put his mouth out there and wasn't worth a damn for athletics. I can't think of one positive thing that Zeppos ever did to help that athletic department. Deermeyer has at least tried, and I'll give him that. That's better than his predecessor.
Right. You have to have people that are willing to get in there. And like, the middle job is a tough job. Vanderbilt sometimes is a tough job. Vanderbilt's in the SEC, but you have to have guys in there that are willing to go shake hands, kiss babies, knock on doors, think outside the box, because especially if you're at a place like middle, you have to think outside the box and you have to be willing to market yourself. And sometimes that's the problem that upsets me. Like, they're doing better now, but like people used to, like when I went down to Troy and my son played at Troy, on every corner, you knew there was a football game. There was a buzz in town. There was a football game. When you came up here, you didn't even know there was a football game in town sometimes.
I'll say this. Beating Alabama, I think, did more than we may know for the football program in Nashville. Because, I mean, you saw the videos. We showed them on the show, and some of them went viral. To see the goalpost go down Broadway and be dumped into the Cumberland River, past all that. I mean, there's a bunch of people down there too. They had a police escort for it.
Good Lord, that's a long walk.
Yeah, it was a 3.1 miles. That has never happened to Vanderbilt football ever. And if things like that, if that's a yearly something, a big upset like that, I'm not saying it's going to be a yearly occurrence, but if they can find a jolt like that every year at home and because Vanderbilt football, their pull in Nashville needs to be that it's fun. You can go to a game, spend a few hours there, walk over to Broadway and have it be a part of the city. And that's what Clark Lee has envisioned. And that win over Alabama made me think, because I never believed being down there after that game, it was like you saw people pointing to the Vandy fans, like that connection between Vanderbilt football and downtown and the city of Nashville. I've never felt that. I don't know if you have, George, but I didn't think that was even possible. But I felt it last year. So if they can somehow corral that and put it together for maybe another, if a big win like that can happen every other year or so, I think they've got something.
Well, they got a huge break when they got Diego Pavia for a second year. Not many people thought that would be the verdict. Go to the one about growing up in those bowl games.
Somebody texts in, I grew up on the sugar, cotton, rose, and orange bowls on New Year's Day. And there were years where the result of each game affected the national champ, sometimes with 2 or 3 at number 1 in polls. That was great.
Agreed. It was a lot of fun.
But we're older guys, like we're traditionalists. We understand what we've come from and now where we're going. And I know things change. I just said it, but like that was like those bowls. Now we got a bowl for everything. We got the Pool Eater the Poulon Weed Eater Bowl in Lafayette, Louisiana. I mean, like, good gracious, like what are we doing?
Hey, y'all want love for the little guy that the little guy gets a bowl game to go to.
I understand, but like, you can go to bowl game, but I don't even know, like, we didn't even worry about that. They had the 1AA playoffs, which it's the Fs or the group of 5 playoffs or the FCS playoffs back then. Like, it was playoffs, but those were the big bowls back in the day, and that's what you look forward to every year. Everybody knew that you weren't going to play in a bowl, but if you were good enough, you got accepted to one of these big bowls. That's what I loved. I still love it.
After the break, I'm going to make your life better. I'm on a 2-game winning streak, and I don't care what Kelly Holcomb thinks. More wins when we come back on 94.9 The Fan.
You watch the race? We got you.
I can't believe it.
NASCAR lives on the Game Nashville Sports Network. Whether it's 102.5 The Game, 94.9 The Fan, or Sports Talk 830, you can hear it all. Just check theGameNashville.com for the full schedule. NASCAR lives here. Your sports live here on the Game Nashville Sports Network.
Nashville, the semifinals of the PFL World Tournament begin Thursday, June 12th. Former welterweight world champion Jason Jackson takes on rising star the Silverback Thad Gene. Plus, 2023 PFL World Champ Jesus Pinedo and Gabriel Braga collide in a highly anticipated trilogy match. Don't miss your chance to see the action live June 12th at Municipal Auditorium in Nashville. Visit pflmma.com/schedule for more info.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
New York City is 1,000 miles away.
Final segment on a Wednesday. NBA, NHL playoffs rolling along tonight. A little bit of baseball. We'll see where George is going with Bet of the Day, brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. We take a look first at what happened last night. 2-0.
It's about dadgum time. Gosh.
When's the last 2-0 night?
Good plays, George. Good plays.
Thank you, Kelly. So appreciate both teams getting it done where it didn't quite go to the wire. That was kind of nice. So let's get to the business tonight. The first one, I'm going on a major hunch. Carolina should have died in game 4 because Florida was already up 3-0. And yet Carolina found something in that locker room, some level of pride that said, we're not going to die like dogs. And they played really well at Florida against the defending Stanley Cup champions. So now they come home, and I'm simply playing a hunch here that if they cared enough to extend the season, they will care enough tonight to really show Florida for one evening who daddy is, taking the Carolina Hurricanes. How about that?
I don't hate it.
Okay. Here's the other one. NBA, OKC. You'll hear that a few times tonight in front of that great crowd of theirs that makes so much noise. Minnesota absolutely played their heart out Sunday night. And I guess it was Monday night and lost by 2. And I kind of feel like they know we got nothing else. This is all we got, and it's not good enough. OKC is really talented, and I know the networks are not rooting for OKC. They're probably not rooting for the Indiana Pacers, but that's probably going to be the NBA final. And you know what? It's going to be a really good final. Those are two very athletic teams. OKC tonight at home covers an unusually large number of 8. And that's where we're going, Billy.
Yeah, Minnesota, I mean, that was their one shot.
That was their shot.
Like I said the other day, they played as good as they could play, and OKC still beat them.
Yeah. So,
and that's demoralizing.
That's demoralizing because they've got to play good, and OKC has to play their BC game.
Yeah. Tomorrow on the show, Will Perdue to talk NBA playoffs.
Perdunk.
Danny Evans to talk me off the ledge about the Atlanta Braves, who not only aren't hitting, but look dead from the neck up. They don't show any life at all. And I'm going to ask Danny, is it time to start worrying? I know the answer. It's yes. I want to hear him say it. And
I don't think he's going to say it. I think he's going to say they still got a run in them.
Well, it's going to have to be a hell of a run. Look at the standing. It's not pretty. Anyway, that's where we're going tomorrow. Thanks to all of you for joining us. This is 94.9 The Fan.